Hello Facebook, it is that time of the week again. We're going live for GQ's brand new series, How to Succeed. Last week we had a great discussion on this couch here at the Entrepreneur Development Centre with the Entourage. And today we have brought in one of our good friends, graduates and all-time rock stars, Miss Jane Liu from Showpo. Welcome, Janie.
Thanks for having me.
Janie and I always have a lot of fun whenever we do anything like this together. So needless to say, it's going to be a good discussion. Guys, tonight we'll be talking to you guys and getting some of Jane's thinking and processes around how do you sell yourself, how do you sell your ideas, and how do you best sell products. Now, this conversation will be mainly skewed to those who are in a career, and perhaps you might be one day looking to go into business for yourself, or you might be in business for yourself already. But this is around how do you sell yourself, how do you sell your ideas, and ultimately how do you sell products, whether it's for a business that you work with and for, or for your own business. Now, a little bit of Janie. Jane, when did you start Showpo?
2010. So
2010, the same year as the Entourage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
really
awesome. What's Showpo's birthday?
Sometime in September. Exactly.
Sometime in September. Ours is April the 1st.
Oh, yeah.
April Fool's Day. We share a birthday
wow.
with Apple. I know. For many years, I kind of pretended like it was April the 2nd because no one wants to have a birthday on April Fool's Day. But then I realised
it's Showbro's birthday, I guess.
Showbros. It is Showbro.
Showbro
That was actually quite funny. Can you tell us about Showbro, and then I'll add on to the end what my partner actually said to me when you guys launched that?
So basically, in the last 7 years, everyone's been asking, when are you going to do menswear? When are you going to do menswear? I'm never going to do menswear. So I thought, why don't we just pull this prank? Oh, these guys from Freelancer, they thought, oh, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it. And they're like, you're not going to do it. And then he actually just, it's like, this guy's a tech whiz, and he skinned our website, created Showbro, and then we thought, let's just punk everyone. And we did. It was awesome.
At which point my partner Katie reached out to me and go, oh my God, Jane's releasing a line for men's. I can't wait to buy you heaps of clothes. I'm like, it was a joke.
Yeah.
I love that. Now guys, Janie has gone from a team of 1 and being herself to a team of 40 in the last 7 years. She's got 1.2 million followers on Instagram, and across each of the different social platforms, she's got 2.7 million people highly engaged in a very galvanized community that she's built around not only herself, but the brand of Showpo and an incredible culture that she's built inside of that business. So tonight will be a good discussion. Now guys, as always on this particular segment, you set the agenda. So we've got a whole crew sitting behind these cameras monitoring your questions. So if you have questions about how to sell yourself, how to sell your ideas, how to sell your products or services, punch them into the comments below. Hugh will feed them to me through our magic iPad, and they'll come through to Jane and myself. Janie, let's start with selling yourself. When you started Showpo, there's quite an interesting story there, how you were with KPMG, am I right?
Yeah.
And you sort of pretended that you were still at KPM. It was at EY?
EY, yeah.
You continued to pretend you were working at EY to fool the parents while you started up. Talk to us about EY and how you sort of got your job there.
Oh God, I don't even know how I got my job. It was these corporate graduate jobs have very elaborate recruitment process. And I remember when I first started Showpo, I was like, well, we should introduce these processes so we get really great candidates. And then I realized they're not going to try that hard. But anyway, I remember we had 1,000 people apply for this role, and they hired 6 people, and I was the only girl that got through this business analyst role in corporate finance.
Wow.
And so there's first round interviews, group interviews, which is when they look at how you work with everyone in a group. And so it's always funny because we actually just had our first internship assessment day. We had 15 interns come in, and we had our group assessment, which is we made presentations. It was really exciting. And you look at the ones that think they're excelling, but they're just bossy and dominating everyone. They're the ones that don't get through, which is quite funny how I did get through myself. But
that intern day that you recently had, was that for Showpo?
yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's like kind of like ideas from back, like that's something I've kind of always wanted to do from my EY days.
So talk to us about that, because that's interesting. A lot of the people watching will either be in a particular role, or even if they are, they'll be looking to progress their career in some way, shape or form. And if and when they choose to go and explore somewhere else, a group interview is probably what they'll be subject to.
Yeah.
What were you looking for? Because as you say, sometimes it's just the people that think they're doing awesome are just those that are dominating, whereas that's not always what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want people who have a strong opinion. You don't want someone who's just sitting on the fence, but
Yeah.
you don't want someone that pushes their ideas too strongly, but still actually listens to other people's ideas. I think, and also, and I think people who are able to communicate well and coherently, which I don't like, even if I am one of those people.
It's
that's what
so
we're looking
funny you
for.
say that. It's so because we do group recruitment nights as well, right? So I don't know, a month or 6 weeks ago, we had about 50 people here applying for 6 different roles.
It's like the
whatever it
Hunger
was.
Games.
Yeah.
Entourage style.
But what was funny, it might have been Rosie. I was saying to her afterwards, I don't think I'd hire me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I came and ran through my recruitment process,
Yeah.
in a group interview, I don't know if I'd hire me.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I know.
And it's probably
I don't
similar. Yeah, I wouldn't hire you either, Jack.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Right, but it's hugely interesting to look at, because what I'm looking for is exactly what you said. Someone that's not necessarily dominating or domineering, but somebody who listens and who can enroll people through leadership rather than an authoritative leadership style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's also hard with like junior. That's the thing with junior level people. You're almost just looking for red flags and rule people out.
Yeah.
And then whereas like, because there's no like written track record or work experience.
Yeah.
So you can like give them benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had, aside from the group interviews, let's say you had somebody come in and you're interviewing them, whether a junior or a sort of medium-term role, what are the red flags for you?
Bitching about your former employer.
Totally.
That's definitely a bad one.
Yeah.
And I think people I just really don't like people who can't answer questions. When I ask for what's your weakness and people can't actually answer it, first of all, you're going to an interview as if you're not going to be asked what's your strength and your weakness. So you're either like just a dumbass or you're ill-prepared. And if you can't name your weaknesses or your strengths, I think that shows the biggest weakness of all, and that is lack of self-awareness. So I think that's an absolute red flag. And, what's this?
Oh, for me, is this off, is it? Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're back on.
Did you guys get the question? Oh, okay, cool. I'm just talking randomly. But something that I like to ask, for example, and strengths and weaknesses can be practiced and people come with those. I tend to ask if and when we call your previous employer for a reference, what feedback would they give you as something to work on and to improve on? Because then you can't say, oh, I'm a perfectionist. And that's what everyone says, I'm a perfectionist and I just blah, 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 I work too hard. And as if your former employer is going to be like, yeah, they work too hard, And so that's a good way of trying to get something really honest out of them. And also, if they say something that's completely different to what the employer actually says, that's also another red flag. That's probably my favorite interview question.
100%. Let's talk about selling your ideas, right? Showpo is an innovative company, particularly around how you guys build audience, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you, what's the sort of criteria or the decision-making process that you go through in order to make a decision that, yes, that's an idea that we want to run with, or no, that's an idea that we're not going to run with? What are the criteria that it needs to hit for you?
Oh, God. I don't think we have a really strong system for it. No. I think it's getting more and more complicated because we have more people involved. Back in the day, it used to be just 4 of us in an office, we sit together, and then we're like, what do you guys think of this? And it's all right, done. And now we'll decide to do one thing down this one direction, and then a particular team will come in, they're like, what have you done? Why did you do this? That makes no sense. And another department, it's a bit more complicated now, so there's meetings and stuff, and things take a bit longer. But there's no, I guess, formal. I think one of the main things we've done in our marketing campaigns is and this sounds obvious, we now know to ask, what is the purpose of why we're doing this, and what platform is it going on? Because I think that the platform it's going on, because we have so many different social media and paid advertising channels, we need to know what it's for, and that way we like cater it for that, and we prioritize it accordingly.
I think that while it might seem like it should be obvious, I actually don't think it is.
It's not weird, like...
For what purpose are we doing
like
this,
that.
right? Like, what is the commercial outcome? And commercial doesn't necessarily mean financial. Commercial could mean brand building, or it's a surprise and delight thing, or it's a community build, whatever
exactly.
it might be.
Like, for example, Showpo, when we did it, it's like, okay, what is the point of what we're doing this? Like, is this, okay, this is just for fun, this is to our customers, this is not money making. But then we'll look at another campaign. So traditionally, the thing about the fashion industry is traditionally there's lookbooks. There are these big, extensive, fancy campaigns, which we've just now come to realize that we're in the fast fashion industry, we're in this digital age where people do not have the attention span for quarterly lookbooks that cost $10,000. So now we've changed and chopped that up into much smaller campaigns. So we constantly have fresh content and fresh material, and like, you know, and each one of them have different purposes, but we have had to learn that the hard way, because traditionally, like, I don't think in the way of campaigns because I'm not trained from a fashion or design school, but most of the people that we hire are. So it's kind of like you have to re-challenge like what people have been taught, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with identifying the purpose is that we can then reverse engineer from there according to what that outcome is, right? Like if it's this is a thing to sell more stuff, you approach that differently.
Absolutely,
this is a thing to get more likes.
Is it branding, or is it likes, or is it selling products? Exactly.
Good. And let's talk selling products, right? Because you've sold a few of them, and you continue to. What have been some of the keys, do you think, over the 7 years, to not only being able to galvanise the community that you have, and I'm assuming, there's a deep sort of consumer insight there, whether it's written down anywhere or not, or whether it's just in Jane's head, I think is sort of secondary, right? But intuitively, I think you have a deep empathy for your audience. Talk to us about what you believe the keys have been to you guys performing so well.
I think it's I think the fact that I'm not a fashion-y person has been actually amazing, and that's probably why I was like scared and nervous that I was even entering the fashion industry, has been a huge benefit, because I came into the market in the industry as someone that's part of the mass market, so basically just looking at what your everyday customers want, and not really thinking like, I learned this in fashion school and this is like all the rage or whatever, like I don't know, like, so we basically have been very driven by numbers, like just looking at what sells and looking at selling patterns and doing more of that. And then, so the thing about Instagram is you get instant feedback about what's working through the engagement levels, so you just do more of what works. And of course we still we do certain things for brand building and not just for selling, as we said before, but I think just being very like pragmatic about it and just very like analytical has really helped. Yeah, absolutely.
Now guys, as we said before, you can set a large part of the agenda tonight, so make sure you are punching your questions into the comments box below, and we will table them here. Also, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you share this episode. You probably have a friendship or a network around you that'll benefit from not only being a part of this conversation, but also the conversation we'll be having next week here on GQ's page. So hit the share button as well. Let us know in the comments below once you have shared, so we can give you a big thank you. Janet, let's talk, because so much of this generation selling is premised on social media, right? Like it's the new platform where particularly our generations and below, right, are going to consume media and consume content. What are some interesting things that have worked for you guys lately from a building audience on social media, and what are the key platforms you think people should be looking at?
Well, I think there hasn't been that much new just very recently. I think video is obviously working very well, and I think Showpo has been a very early adopter of like making videos, and I think you, in terms of live videos, you're like one of the first that I've seen on Facebook, which is like it's fantastic to have that first mover advantage, I guess. So video definitely is working really well. I've been told by someone that YouTube might be making a second comeback, so that's why I started a vlog. I don't like really know what I'm doing, but I think for me, it's like if you hear that something might be working, you just want to give it a go, because I would hate for like me to be sitting here 2 years later, having heard that YouTube might be working, not done it, and then it is like working. So I think it's just like for everything to give it a go, and I think ultimately it comes down to whether it matches your audience. Like for us, you know, Instagram, like our demographic is 16 to 36-year-old women, and so something like Instagram works really well. Pinterest was still like, Pinterest is always, I think like Pinterest is that thing that everyone wants to do it, but no one has time for it. But something like Twitter that doesn't really work that well for us, which I'm sure it works more for you guys. So I think it kind of really does depend on your demographic, but there's nothing like new that's exciting that's come out, I think. But definitely Snapchat is like probably over. Probably.
Have you been using it less since Insta Stories came out?
Yes, I have. But the
Same.
thing is,
I actually feel guilty that I'm using Snapchat so little these days, but I really am.
I know, it's just not as many features. But I remember once upon a time saying that I thought Facebook is dead. And Facebook Organic is, well, kind of dead, but we're actually, like, we're getting 500,000 people engaged weekly. So it's not dead, but I was doing this interview about a bunch of, like, talking just about a bunch of things, and then I think I said as a small comment about how Facebook is dead, which became the headline of this like news article. So now it's like timestamp to me saying Facebook is dead, and it's not. So I'm well aware that what I'm saying could turn out to be wrong later. But anyway, first to admit that.
For those of you that are watching, I'm going to pose that question to you. Have you guys found yourself using Snapchat less since Insta Stories came out? Punch your answer into the comments box below. Question from Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. What is the level of competition in the fashion industry, especially e-com? How hard is it to keep growing and innovating in how you sell?
Sorry, that was just a playback from, I'm guessing, Snapchat, Instagram?
There we go.
Yeah, someone's
Case
using
in
it.
point.
Well, I think it's a highly competitive industry, which is always good, because I think, you know, if I had a business that had no competition, I'd be worried about the business model.
100%.
But I think the thing about the fashion industry is that it has very low barriers to entry, which means a lot of people are getting into it. It's very easy to start, especially an online fashion retail store. But I think to have longevity and to actually scale it is where it's quite difficult. And I think that's where, you know, that's when a lot of people ask me, like, how do I do this, how do that? But that, I mean, ultimately, that's the trick. And that's, you know.
What's the trick?
Like how to grow, how to scale it. Because I think it's really easy to just buy some stock, build an online store, build an Instagram following based on your immediate network, start doing some Facebook paid advertising. Like that works. Like anyone can do that, and you can make a bit of money there. But to go the next level takes something else, and I think it's just not as easy as people think. So I actually see quite a few businesses that get to a certain level, and then
plateau.
You're not, and then you become to a point where you're not being an entrepreneur, or you're not being a business. You're kind of still just working, right? Because you're kind of more a slave to your job than you would be if you work corporate, because you can't leave it at home, but you're not. The business isn't growing, I guess.
100 million%. Yeah, no, that's right. My view is in particularly in the early years, it gets, what drives the business is the entrepreneurs or the founders' magic, if you like, the founders' hustle. And you then get to a point where it needs to become about sort of fundamental business principles and, you know, culture and process and, you know, all of that other stuff, plus the magic and the culture and all, you know, in order to take it to the next level. Yeah. But it's like the sort of entrepreneurial grit, if you like, will take you to here, but then the next phase of growth from, what, I don't know, 50 to 200 people is a different ball game altogether. Yeah. Right. So true. But we love it, don't we, Janie?
Yeah.
Janie, question from Thomas. How do you cultivate a high-performance team, and work on the business instead of in it?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm still struggling a bit with working on the business. And, like, I still get stuck answering emails. Like, today, I just answered emails all day. I'm like, crap. But I think what I do is I do set a date. So me and my general manager and I have, since this year, set a day away for strategy day, which is like 20% of your time. It's quite significant. So that has really massively helped. And I think bringing in really smart heads of departments has really helped everyone become more high performance driven.
Yeah.
And I think just having open communications within the team really helps as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everyone thinks, I mean, Showpo is this very fun, you look at Showpo, and I think people sometimes when they apply for jobs, they're a bit surprised because they'll look at our recruitment video and they'll see that we're drinking, we're partying, we're having fun, which we do. We have our office dog, and we're punishing people with shots at work for making typos in the EDM.
You're going to get so many job applications after this episode.
But then they come and we're like, okay, here's a spreadsheet to track this KPI, that KPI, blah, 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 documentation. But it's not we don't ever want to over document things, but there is KPIs behind everything. Everyone has numbers for where their performance is tracked. And I think a lot of people are surprised by this, and especially the creative types, but we drill it into them. And one of my goals is to make everyone in the company love spreadsheets. I don't think that we're there yet, but
but it can happen.
Secretly, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We talk about the same thing in terms of, I think sometimes, and particularly people that are unfamiliar with a high growth culture, is that they can think culture is something separate to performance. Like culture is the drinking and the bean bags and the parties we do, call it, whatever it might be, right? And then, oh, by the way, you've got to do real work over here. When really they come hand in hand, and one cannot exist without the other. Yeah. Right? It's all part of the one intrinsic culture. Question from Danielle that I'm actually interested. I don't know if I've ever asked you this question. It's a good one. Yeah. What motivates you?
Oh, okay. So it's actually changed and evolved in the last years. So back in the Entourage days, I remember I've actually said what motivated me was so that I could stay not working for KPMG or EY.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I just wanted to stay in business, which contradicts my previous comment of the fact that you're a slave to your business if you're just working and it's not growing, and that's what you're doing. I would have been fine with that. That was the goal for a while, and then for a while my goal was out of spite to prove to people that I could do this, to prove to ex-business partners and other people that didn't believe in me that I could do it. And then it got to a point where I think now it's just a sense of accomplishment, and also just to see how far we can push it. I have no idea where we're going with this. And I think, it is getting more, the bigger we are, the more fun it's getting, the cooler things we're doing. We kind of have to always go next level, I guess. So it is, it comes with a lot of its own perks. And I think also the bigger we get, the more I can hire more specialists to take over things from me. We've just hired an operations manager, which means I don't have to do logistics and freight and warehousing stuff anymore, which is fantastic. And so next, as we grow, I can do more of what I love.
So good. I love that. With regards to your growth in your team, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this would be interested, what's your biggest challenge today?
Ooh, there's quite a few, I guess. Biggest challenge.
She doesn't have any.
No, it's smooth sailing. No, I think just growing in general. We always try and go for the lowest hanging fruit, and we try and. So, if we had funding, there's about we could probably start up 20 different teams working on different projects, and just grow the F out of the business. But because we don't have funding, we have to be a lot more strategic about it. We have to pick what we think is the lowest hanging fruit, and our approach to the business. And I guess. That is a challenge, making that business decision. Yeah. And also I think, one huge challenge is now managing and leading a team of 40, which I'm not really that well equipped in doing. Because I've never had and I can see that back when I used to work at KPMG, the kind of communications and training, Excel training. They used to have leadership training. All that kind of stuff actually, at the time, seemed really boring. Actually would help. And I don't really have experience. And I don't read books. And so I just have to like learn it by making mistakes and quickly like learning from it. So that's the approach.
Totally.
Yeah.
Question from somebody else. What's your biggest failure? And same question, what's the best advice someone has given you?
Oh, okay. So the biggest failure would have been like my first business. And that's when that's why I quit my corporate job to go for that business, to work in that business. And I kind of like didn't really understand the business model. I still don't now, but I quit my job as kind of like a cop out. Like I'm not proud of this, but I just wanted to get out of my job. I quit my job, and then within 1 month, my business partner didn't want to do it anymore. So all of a sudden I was unemployed, my business failed, and like I was in debt in the middle of the global financial crisis. So I've never been more rock bottom in my life. I went to a selective school in high school, and it was a very like competitive culture. And I grew up with this mentality of if you're not going to win or succeed, don't try. So I didn't, there were many things I just didn't really try. I wasn't very well-rounded as a person, I guess. But having failed in my business venture, Fat Boy, I realized it really wasn't that bad. And that, even if people, there are people who probably will be laughing at you, who cares? They're not your real friends. And at the end of the day, when you're at the bottom, you've only got up. You can only, there's only, I don't know what's the saying.
You can only go up.
Exactly. No, and then I think it gives you I really like the idea of starting fresh and having a clean slate anyway. And yeah, I think it really taught me a lot, and I live a lot more fearless now, less risk averse.
I love that. That's really, really cool. How old are you now, Janie? That's a terrible question. You should never ask somebody that question particularly. Are you?
Yeah.
Same. We got old, eh?
Yeah. I'm only 30 for another 2 days though. So I've never been more proud to say I'm 30.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's say you were stepping into the workforce, KPMG, if that's where we started, first day. What's the number one piece of advice you would give to yourself at that point?
Me in particular, don't be too keen. Because I just I don't know.
What do you mean don't be too keen? That's interesting.
You know when people are too keen and you just think, oh, that person's way too keen, you need to calm down.
So you were really ambitious even on day one, to a fault.
Yeah, not me. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think you want to just be I think sometimes you go in first day, be I'm going to make an impression. I'm going to be like this. Blah, 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 blah. I think it's better just to go in and read the mood and read the situation. Yeah. And then to be more of a grower on people.
Yeah.
I'm not that person at all, but I think that's what I should be doing.
If you had your time again.
Yeah.
100%. Jane Lou, thank you so much for joining us for the GQ How to Succeed series. No doubt the audience, and I can see the comments coming through. They've absolutely loved this discussion, so thank you very much. Guys, next week we will be joined by another good friend of mine, Mr. Kerwin Ray. Same topic, talking about how do you sell yourself better, how do you sell your ideas, and how do you enable that sales capability to flow through to selling products and services. So you will see from the GQ team and ourselves over the next week what time that will be next week, and we look forward to seeing you there. Until then, let's give Miss Jane Lou in the comments section below a big round of applause. Thank you, Janie. See you guys soon.